Okay, guys, we'll call our city commission meeting to order at 7 p.m. April 20th, 2026. We do have a quorum with Kyle, Bob, and myself here. I see Steve and I online, and I believe Jaden's on too. He'll catch up with us. He's on his way here. So at any rate, we can move right into the agenda. So let's start with our pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under indivisible.
All right, starting off with the minutes, those are from April 6th, 2026. Most of you guys have had a chance to look them over, and if they look good, we'll just need a motion to approve them as read.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as posted.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as posted. Let's move to a vote.
Yes.
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 And try that again, Stephen. We couldn't hear you.
Yes. Did that work better that time?
And Jaden, how about you?
Can you hear me now?
I vote yes. Motion carries. All right, commissioners report. Kyle, I think it's just on us.
Good evening, everyone. We've been working on the tree grant, that did get sent off today to the North Dakota Forestry Service. So they will review that. They'll send us back whether we get approved or denied that request. Probably take a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks. Secondly, was pretty busy on my days off, helping out with a bunch of city issues. I've received quite a few complaints regarding the warmer weather, with vehicles speeding through residential areas. One of them, I guess south of town on 7th Street was one. Over here on, I think it was 4th Street area in Dakota. I just ask people just drive sensibly. There's kids out riding bike, walking their dog, playing fetch, doing a whole bunch of stuff. So just be careful, be courteous to them. Probably talk to the PD and maybe see if they can do some more patrolling in certain areas. Other than that, we'll cover everything else on the new business area. Thanks.
Yeah, you guys, want to pat you on the back. Fellas who worked on that swamp out there. That could have been a really crappy job, but you guys done a good job on it. Oh, anyhow, with the police department, we have, if you want to talk to the police department, talk to Nick Oyster. He's chief of police while the other one's out on leave. And anyhow, or you can call me or whatever, but we'll get the job done. For the first of this month, they've had 262 service calls. Police department. The service calls are, you call a cop, one comes, but count. And 50 traffic stops this month already. 19 reports taken. Report is like, I lost my bicycle. I want to tell the cop about it. Or fender bender or anything. And so it's about like 16 service calls a day. 3 traffic stops per day is the average on that. It's picked up a little over last month because I think as the weather gets a little nicer, people might tend to travel a little quicker. And I wanna reflect on what you said about kids are out too this weather. They're running around, dogs, whatever. We have to just watch out for everything. And that'll catch me up pretty good.
Stephen, do you want to give her another try?
Can't.
Just nothing out of you, Stephen. Sorry. Go ahead, Jade.
Can you hear me okay? Can you guys hear me?
And we can't hear you either.
I guess I want to jump back to the water side. So regarding my days off, I was out to Lagoon quite a bit. Helped with the guys out there, getting the lagoon cleaned up where it needs to be, getting the sludge removed. Hats off to all the guys working hard, getting that done. Can't remember what, 7 days it took us to get her done. Something like that. I don't know. It was some long days, a lot of back and forth, pulling hose, working, doing this now. So hats off to all the employees for helping getting that done. And like I said, that'll be on the new business agenda. So yeah.
On my front, I don't have a whole lot other than observation, like everybody's talking about with that lagoon. That was a task. And I didn't lift a finger to help out with that. I know Kyle, you did, and Jason, you were front and center and all that. And we had no idea what we were getting into. I think it's a pretty fair statement. We had a dollar limit that we wanted to cap it at until we could assess the situation and regroup. But did you guys get it done? Like $47,000 cheaper than we were ballparking.
Yeah. It was around like 15,000 somewhere.
Absolutely wild. And I know that does not help it or happen without a bunch of sweat equity that went into it. So thank you guys, Kyle.
Thanks, Kyle.
I get it. It's a job that doesn't pay you to do it. You were out there regardless, helping the guys out. I don't know how many pictures I got from him, how many phone calls, but
Thanks
so fully engaged. It was so impressive.
thanks to the fire department too for letting us use it.
Definitely, kind of reminiscent of the days of old where everybody just kind of gathered and rallied and just got it done. So pretty awesome, pretty proud. Sorry I couldn't help you. We were out of town for a big gig of that, but pretty awesome, like I said. Okay, moving on to modification or approval of the agenda. Do you guys have anything you want to add, or does it look good as is?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as posted.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve the agenda as posted. Let's move to a vote.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Jade and Steven, we're still not hearing you. We can see the blue banner popping up as if you are talking. We're just not catching you. So, well, I tell you what, we'll just keep trying, okay? All right, and yes, so motion carries. Let's move on to old business. Liz, we see you.
All right, let's see if you can hear me. Can you hear me, gentlemen?
Oh, hang tight, Liz. I think I know what's going on here. Hold on.
We can't hear you either, Liz.
Right now, Liz.
You want to try now, Liz, please?
Yep. Are you guys there?
Oh, nothing yet.
Just tell me when you can hear me. Any luck?
Can you try again, Liz?
Okay, can you hear me?
There
Yep.
we go.
Oh, super. I'll let you know. I could hear Jaden earlier. It was coming in online, but I couldn't hear Steven. So maybe this gets us fixed at least part way. I'm going to be super short tonight, gentlemen. I don't have a lot to share, too many updates. I did want to put one item on your radar. It's been somewhat busy, I know, for everyone lately, but we're going to come up on a deadline in July. I shared with Wendy in late March and asked that she maybe pop on the agenda for May. Some legislative changes that have happened with respect to municipal courts. As you all know, the city of Tioga has a municipal court. We have a municipal judge. We have a municipal court clerk. And it used to be, or is now, before July 1st of 2026, we were allowed to operate under different rules than the district court. I can re-forward the information to the whole commission, or Wendy can do it. It's a discussion that was had between Amber, our prosecutor, and I back on March 31, and forwarded to Brett. But the long and short of it is we're going to come into a point at some point in May or June where we need to make the decision as to whether or not we wish to maintain a municipal court and convert it to an of record court, meaning that we have to have a complete transcription. They've already created some packages that allow for that conversion, or if we would rather turn to the county and contract with the county for the purposes of criminal prosecutions. There are some pros and cons to that. I think that would be a better discussion to have on a different evening, just so we can circulate some information in advance. But I wanted to put that bug in your ear. I think we better get that on for, one of the May meetings, just so it doesn't get forgotten and then we find ourselves in a bit of a pickle come July 1st. Other than that, gentlemen, I didn't see anything on the agenda that I think calls for my attention. Certainly I'll be here through the whole of the meeting. So if any questions crop up or if you need me, I'm happy to jump in. But that's what I had on the stove this evening. So that's all there is for me.
Hey guys, questions for Liz?
My only question is, would you be able to reach out or have the PD reach out to see if who else is going to the district side or staying on the municipal side, please?
I can, and actually, Kyle, there's a way easier way to do that, and I can probably do that for you. That would be a League of Cities question. League of Cities tracks that type of thing, and they probably have a pretty good collective view of what cities across the state are doing. Certainly, the PD should be welcome to do that, and I can visit with them about the pros and cons of doing that. But I can also contact League of Cities for you and get kind of an overview as to which way various cities are leaning.
Thank you.
Okay, sure thing.
All right, Jaden, Steven, think we got our speaker issues figured out. You want to give us a quick test just to make sure we can hear you?
Can you hear me, Brett?
Got you, Jaden. How about you, Steven?
Can you hear me now?
Gotcha. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, moving on. Josh, you're up.
Thank you. Good evening. Have a couple of projects to discuss tonight. For the baseball field project, I'm hopeful to have construction contracts back from the contractor, but they are still in the mail. So once we receive those, we'll run through, make sure everything's in order, and then get them to Brett for signature. I also have the notice to proceed included in the packet there. I guess we'll have that executed at the same time as the construction contract. Pre-construction meeting, I've been in correspondence with the contractor. We are looking likely at early next week to schedule a pre-construction meeting. I'll reach out once we have a better idea on what their availability is for that. I did pass out their construction schedule. They sent that over the end of last week. So generally, they're planning to mobilize in the beginning, starting next week, and then the following week, May 4th, they plan to get started on construction for the project. So any questions?
Is that pre-construction gonna be held on site or on Teams?
I'd probably do it in town here if we need to pop out there to look at anything, but we'll have a Teams option in case anyone can't make it.
Okay, if you can shoot within our 3 text here, Brett, you and I,
Okay.
please.
Yep, we'll do that. Moving on, then the next item I have is the engineering amendment for construction services and the Lomer after the construction is completed. So that includes construction contract administration, so weekly construction meetings, submittal reviews, pay app reviews, coordination with the contractor, pay application presentation to the commission, RPR services, which is construction observation. We included in there 18 10-hour days, which kind of it's part-time, I guess, out there. I don't necessarily anticipate using all of that. Just kind of depends on how construction goes out there. Construction staking as needed for the project, post-construction services, so as-built topo and project closeout. And then after everything's completed, we would complete the Lomer for submittal through FEMA. With that, are there any questions?
Number 3. That is our all-in expense with more engineering, 349,000.
That's a typo. Wendy pointed that out to me. I gotta correct that. So that number should read 82,500, which is this amendment. The all-in would be 189,970. The following page there.
Okay.
What page are we on? Sorry, I'm trying to follow.
Page 2.
Yeah, page 2 of the exhibit K.
Yeah, the math just wasn't mathing for me.
Yep.
It's the only reason I asked.
Yep, no, I apologize for that. I'll update that and shoot a corrected copy over. So.
All right, and you don't anticipate any additional fees, right? That's our
No.
all-in. Do you need a motion of some sort to approve this amended?
Yeah.
Or do you need it as the title says, like amended number 2 to task order number 6?
Yeah, that would be appropriate. Thank you.
So with the figure being incorrect, I mean, how's that gonna affect our approval? The figure is incorrect.
I guess we could just, I would just request approval contingent on that typo being corrected to 82,500.
So we're talking underneath page 2. And then which number? Cause I'm still,
Oh,
sorry.
No, sorry,
Yeah, just a-
page 1, item 3 at the bottom is where the typo is. It's 349,000,
And what is the correct
82,500.
82,500 even?
Correct.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the amendment number 2 to task order number 6. With the correction of number 3 being a total of $82,500.
I'll second.
All right, we got a motion and a second to approve amendment number 2 to task order number 6 with the correct pricing to reflect 82,500. Does that sound right, guys? All right, any discussion on that one? Okay, let's vote.
Yes.
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 And yes, motion carries.
I guess the last item I have on that project, I won't require a motion. I received the notice of intent for stormwater coverage. That'll need a signature from the city to get that submitted for permitting with the state for stormwater there, so.
Okay, we don't need to do any sort of like water runoff holding pond or anything, right?
No,
Okay.
no, this is just for construction, disturbance of the ground for
Okay.
permitting for that, since it's over 1 acre of disturbance, so.
Okay.
The next item I have then is related to the North Dakota Department of Water Resources Water Development Plan, the 2027 to 2029 biennium. I touched on this a couple meetings ago. We did get the forms prepared for submittal. So before you, I have the submittal for the dam safety improvements project, future water main replacement project, as well as a potential lead service line replacement project. Again, this is just indicating to them, potential projects that are out there. There's no commitment, just giving them, I guess, the information for planning and budgeting on their end of things. So just look for the okay to submit those. If there are any questions, I will do my best to answer them.
All right, I do got a question. Tell me more about this Tioga Dam project. Are we required to repair it?
Yes,
What's the reason for that?
because it doesn't meet the current design requirements.
So it has nothing to do with it leaking. It has everything to do with the current design.
Correct. Yep. It has to do with one, the hydraulic capacity of it. So basically, I'm trying to recall the primary spillway needs to be able to convey, I believe it's a 50-year storm event without initiating the emergency spillway, which currently doesn't have the capacity to do that. And then also the stability of the slopes on the embankments. Technically, yes, some action should be taken at some point by the city. When the state would, I guess, make an issue of it or force the issue, I guess, kind of up in the air on that point. So, and I would note that the costs that we put in there is for the more expensive option, since an alternative hasn't been chosen. We did just put that in there just for the sake of putting that number in, I guess, so sure that we're covered in case the more expensive option were chosen.
What, having a hard time finding the attachment now. What's the anticipated cost for those dam repairs?
9 million.
$9 million.
Yep. And that was,
To fix a dam that's not broken.
that's a much more expensive option than the first option that was presented, but,
So we're not held to this. We're just
No.
saying that,
correct.
but we're gonna pretend like we're interested for right now.
Mhm.
No, I don't know, guys. What do you think?
I gotta buy a lot of jip.
On walleye.
I mean, I guess I would just note that, being on their list for potential funding is worthwhile, especially if the state were to come in and start forcing the issue, I guess. Just note that, but we could reduce the dollar amount to the, I guess, less expensive option.
So they'll fund potentially where we can get a grant for 5.4 million.
Yep.
Can we do it for 5.4 million?
Well, the grant is percentage based. They fund a percentage of, trying to recall what percent they do on those types of improvements. And that is, I would note that the state legislature does from time to time change percentages that they fund. So that's at 60%. Not sure. They do it from the state legislature from time to time. They may change what percentage they're funding projects at, but this is what the current rates that they fund and projects at. So.
Well, it's up to you guys, but I would strongly suggest we sharpen our pencils and get our liability way down. And the only reason I say that is, I mean, I've lived here my whole life. There's not a drop of water in that spillway right now. Not saying there won't ever be, but I remember a time when we thought it was flooding badly, and all it did is it turned our little areas in the park into a stream where you could net pipe. It was nothing earth shattering. Is it gonna happen again? I don't know. Did it ruin lives? Absolutely not.
Have we determined where the leak is? Or,
There's not a leak. That's the thing, is we just gotta improve the design of the dam. See, originally we thought, or we had heard that there was an active leak, so we had to fix it. And if we didn't fix the active leak, Game and Fish wouldn't restock the Tioga Dam with pike and fingerling perch and all that. And
Yeah.
it sounds like none of that's actually true at all. It's just purely like design basis.
Yep, and I mean, I would say every dam leaks to a degree. There's some sort of seepage, which there is seepage. It's seepage through the embankments, but it's not, there was no identified, like,
And where's the water going?
what's that?
So where's the water going if it's leaking?
To the east. There's kind of a trickle to the east there at times, but.
Well, I mean, so as far as the dam and this being an issue, I mean, if they'd come in, have they gave us a corrective date?
No.
Or is this just, we could come in and hold you as accountable?
Yeah, correct. So I believe it's every 4 years, the state does inspections of the dams throughout the state. And that's kind of what triggered, I guess, the initial study that was done. That was one item that they noted was just review of, does the dam meet current design requirements? That was one of the items, and there's a few other miscellaneous items there, but as far as a drop dead date, there's nothing up there at this point.
Does the state calculate the design parameters of the dam, or do they give us baselines on what to look for and then we provide that to them?
Yep, they give us baselines, what their requirements are, and that was the study that we had presented on probably a year ago, somewhere in that time frame. that was the results of that. So basically meeting the current design standards.
I thought we decided that that design was kind of crap. Like, didn't it say that Main Street was gonna be under 6 foot of water? From that original,
That would probably be in like a dam breach situation. Something like that.
all right, so what do you guys wanna do? You wanna slow play this for a couple weeks so Josh can sharpen his pencil on total cost? Or are you comfortable with that $9 million price tag?
Well, I mean, 9 million, that's a lot, that's a big pill to swallow. So for the grant, as of right now, be 5,400,000. And then the city would have to put in 3,600,000. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yep.
I think we need to look at different ways of cutting some costs, and go that route and revisit this issue.
If they approve this and then decide to go with like the cheaper version or whatever.
Yep.
Does that negate? It can change.
No,
right? You're
yeah.
just Trying to get on the list.
On the list for potential funding,
projects in
yep.
in the future, right?
Yep. We could, I don't have the number off the top of my head, but we could reduce it down to, I guess, the cheaper alternative, which was more basically adding fill on the downstream sides versus the slurry wall. Which I think is probably the more reasonable option to truly move forward with. It's either way.
And it'll probably still be overkill, right? It's gonna be more protection than we'll ever need, even the cheaper route. Yes,
It's not adding, basically there's with the embankments themselves, that's where a bulk of the cost comes from. It doesn't meet the current requirements for a stability standpoint. So it's not really necessarily adding capacity, or it's more of a structural component of it to prevent or reduce the chances of failure of the dam.
didn't you catch all that on your drive in?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we need to maybe look into cheaper options and see what that looks like, I guess, before we kind of even half commit to something.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look at the estimate for the other option, and we can come back on that one.
And before we move on, this $9 million one, that's the slurry wall and the whole works, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would sure think that at that price tag, that Tioga Dam would be more secure than Fort Knox.
Mhm. Any other questions?
I'm good. Guys, you good?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, excellent. Sounds great. Thank you.
Hey, moving on to new business. Kyle, I know you want this one, right? Jason wants it.
Well, we'll share.
So we got a new quote from EDI. It's to actually repair basically all the new water hoses that actually sit in the water, and which is definitely needed. They're all pretty much corroded after 10 years of being used in the slurry. But yeah, I just want to thank Kyle for spending his couple of days out there and really helping us out quite a bit. Thank you, the fire department, for letting us use their stuff. Yeah, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but
So I'm staring at it. So it says the original contract amount that we all agreed on was 62,375. With the change order, that increases it to, or that increases the total quote to 101,825. So it's a change order in the amount of 39,450. But to your point, it's necessary.
It's gonna give it all new, everything.
You guys don't want to do that process all over again, right? No.
No, so one of the other reasons too is we had a pre-conference meeting, I guess, after we went out there, figured out that there's a bunch of sludge and the work was gonna have to get pushed. Is, like Jason said, all the airline hoses are inch long. I think they're, I can't remember what, 4 feet long, 5 feet long. And they've been weather checked. They need to be replaced. Secondly, the diffusers, bunch of them diffusers are mangled, they're damaged. Those aren't even working in top efficiency. So, I mean, the lagoon is cleaned where it needs to be. We've sent off pictures, videos. We've talked with Neely, which is with EDI, this company that's gonna be doing the work. They gave us a green light. We went back and that's where like, we just need to replace more parts. It's silly to have to go in there next year, the year before, and replace parts and clean it again or have them come back. So we just need to replace the airlines, the diffusers, the retention lines, and then for them to come back and do the work. Is what this new quote is for.
And they are possibly on schedule for the 27th, if not possibly the week after. She's getting all the parts and stuff together right now, and she's in contact with the crew. If her crew pushes a job, then it might be sooner. That's if we can get the parts. So, but 27th, first week of May, kind of what we're looking at.
So I'll make a motion to approve the new quote from EDI in the amount of $101,825.
I'll second.
All right, we got a motion, a second to approve the new contract amount with EDI. Approve the new contract in the amount of $101,825. Any discussion on that? One last time, thank you guys very, very much. That was incredible. Let's vote.
Yes.
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 And yes, motion carries. Then moving on, is that it for that one, Kyle? Okay, moving on to the Williams County Chip Seal Project. I know you're knowledgeable on this one because they reached out to you directly, correct?
Yeah, correct. So, gentleman by the name of Brandon called me. He's with the county. The county is going to be doing a big campaign of chip seal project through a bunch of the county highways. They got Ray on board. They called me, Brandon did, wondering if we wanted to chip seal portions that touch the county within city limits. I said, if you could give me a quote, we'll bring it to the meeting tonight, talk about it. So it'd be within this quote, it has coming up Iverson Road. So from 67th all the way to the high school, and then from the high school out to the rig. And then Signal Road is completely shot. So that would be left alone. But then from Highway 40 and over to the east to the county line would also be in this quote. I think, I can't remember the company that was gonna be doing the work. Ackerman Esfold was the main company, but I can't remember the subcontractor. So for the Tioga portion, it would be $75,581.07 is for the Tioga portion.
And that's from where you said?
So that's from 67th Street, because that's where we take over,
Yep.
up to high school,
Mhm.
and then going to the west. And then,
Is that where, like, city limits goes all the way out there?
Correct.
Okay,
And then from, Highway 40 over to the east to the county line.
where's our city limit end there?
It will be right after the gas plant.
After? I didn't think we went out that far. To my knowledge, we don't, do we?
3 miles. Past the gas plant.
I think we. The highway.
I don't think, we never annexed that part, so I would think it'd be at the highway, huh, Jason?
Yeah, I think our big portion here is just from Highway 2 to the high school and then to the west to what, the golf course turn? So a lot of miles of usable road, but it's, again, it's not hitting Signal Road between Highway 40 and the high school. Which is fine. I think someday we want to dig that up and improve it anyway. There's no point in throwing a bunch of money onto it just to tear.
Signal Road?
Right.
I don't think that'd be a good idea, no. But, 105th, that mile maybe would be a good idea. That's in pretty good, that's in really good shape still.
Really good shape.
So that would be probably worth doing.
Yeah, as far as this quote, I mean, if you guys, because, this quote has on the east side of Highway 40. So this quote would be high then. So I don't know the exact price then, because this quote that I have in front of you is regarding the east side of Highway 40.
I'd probably visit with them about that, cause I don't think that's right.
Where does it start south? Is it starting on Highway 2 or is it starting on
I
KSI?
think it,
67 south coming north.
The arrow is right on Highway 2.
So that 3 miles of road you don't need to do either. That's out of city limits.
Yeah, and actually, their County Road 10 line, it goes all the way to Temple too. So I think we're just gonna have them come and narrow in what we're actually responsible for if we want to play. When do they want to get started, Kyle?
I want to say it's middle of summer, towards the later of summer. I can't remember when they wanted the bids in by, so they know how much product they have to be ordering.
I would think that 2 weeks isn't gonna break them, but if you want to talk to them again, and I mean, if we gotta call a special meeting just to get ahead of their timeline, we sure can.
We do go a little ways on to the east up to Hess Drive, which is just right before the main entrance into the gas plant. That's ours.
so that's probably, I don't know, what is that, half mile?
So pretty much right where the
Maybe.
big water tank is at, is where,
Probably about a half mile. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with like covering our portion of it, but I guess you might have to visit with them and get those parameters straight.
Then they go on to the west is a mile. Up to that, first location past this loop.
Is past. Right up there.
Mhm.
If you like that, you bring it out.
do you want me to call back and get a more fine-tuned quote then, or what?
I think so. I think you should ask for a quote, what it would be from 67th going north to Signal Road. And then maybe our portion on the east side of Highway 40. I mean, cause I would say that's probably in good shape, but I don't know that we'd wanna do any more than that. I'm not even sure we'd wanna do that. But you could check.
Yep, I'll make some phone calls, so we'll table this.
Well, we are moving on to new business number 5. Hello, mister.
Hello, good evening. Well, as you know, a few months ago, you guys had as part of your commission meeting, a input of potential projects that could aid the community by improving your infrastructure. And at that time, you guys kind of identified 3 projects as leading as potentially having the best chance to improve the infrastructure for the city. Those being 67th Street, Signal Road, and Dakota Street. Now, I brought forward here today 4 items, one being a master service agreement and the others being scope of services and estimates on those 3 projects to kind of have a discussion, see if this is something that the commission is willing to kind of begin and put forward and kind of understand what it will take and what it will cost to do so. So kind of starting at first, that master service agreement. In essence, this is just general conditions, term and conditions, because while the scopes of services on the other documents and the estimates provide numbers and tell you what we will do, it doesn't get into the kind of legal speak of payment, stuff like that. That's where this master service agreement, that if we choose to do those scopes, any of these scopes of services would come in and kind of detail those terms. That way we don't have to outline them every single time. It's just kind of done in one. So that's all that document there is. I'm not sure if you guys have had a chance to review it or if you guys have any thoughts about it.
It is just that though, right? It's an MSA. It's not a binding contract.
It doesn't commit you to anything. It just gives you terms and conditions. So that way we approve a task order later on or later on tonight, then there's terms and conditions that task order is held to. And if things aren't going right, there's language for termination there if you guys want. If there's payment terms, that way you guys know when our payments are due, and it's all that legal mumbo jumbo that we really don't want to write out every single time we do a scope of service and a task agreement.
Yeah, I totally get it. You guys, I mean, that's oil field speak too. I mean, if you want to have a contractor or anybody work for you, you got to make sure that you have an MSA in place with them first. But just make sure that you guys have insurance. We get your payment terms. I don't know what you got, net 30, net 45.
Yeah, net 30.
And that's something that we need to transition to, I think, anyway, for any company that we do work with, is to make sure that we have an active MSA with them. So yours is good for what, 5 years, as long as you uphold all your insurance and all that?
Yep, and that can be altered. Generally 3 or 5 year terms are kind of the industry standard. So it's kind of auto filled in there right now, 5. Whenever we write one, that's where we start at. Just have a discussion. If you guys prefer a shorter term, I'd recommend 3. But the kind of industry standard is 3 or 5. Don't ask me why those specific numbers, just know that that's kind of what it is.
That's pretty conventional.
There any questions about that document? If not, we can either move on, talk about the other projects, or there would need to be a motion to kind of what to do with this master service agreement.
You just need a really simple motion if the guys so choose to do it. You just need a motion to approve the execution of the MSA with Bros Engineering, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the MSA agreement with Rose Engineering.
I'll second that.
All right, we got a motion and a second to approve the MSA agreement with Pros Engineering. Any discussion on that one? Easy, let's vote.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
And yes, motion carries.
Perfect. Moving on, next I have on here is the 67th Street rehabilitation. I provided a scope of services, task order number 1, 2026. In this task order, it would include survey, soil investigation, design, as well as the bidding of concrete paving between 105th Avenue Northwest and Oil Capital Way South. My estimate for the construction cost of this, and this does not include engineering, this is actual construction cost, is $3,065,000, 175 even. That's with the 25% contingency in place right now, because it's kind of a 10,000 foot estimate. You know, we haven't gone through and estimated every single bid item or figured out all the intricacies of it. And so there is a bit of contingency there, but that's kind of the highest I foresee that project getting to at this point. What we will do with this is we'll also evaluate the hill on the east side of the road for safety concern. I know you guys had previously mentioned that there was a very steep hill there that causes sliding issues in the winter. We'll evaluate what's called the K curve on that, see if we can make it less steep and make it where it's less of a safety issue. In addition, we're going to plan to improve the drainage along the road through ditch sections and culverts, specifically on the south end where it was mentioned that there is an issue with drainage. What doesn't plan for is lighting improvements along the roadway. We did not plan for that. There also does not plan for hydraulic study on the culvert that passes through on the east side of the road. We're not going to be adding anything to that because we're not working on the north end with culverts, so we should not need hydraulic studies. That's why those things are not included. But I just want to make it clear kind of expectations of what we are looking at compared to what we aren't here. Now, if the commission does choose to proceed with 2 of the task orders, I would suggest pairing 67th Street with Dakota Street, just because there's going to be cost savings involved because they're right next to each other. You're going to see savings of contractors working in the same area, subcontractors, as well as even surveyors going out. They'll have to make less mobilizations. So our preliminary engineering services was that I have here a total of not to exceed $200,910 for preliminary engineering related to 67th Street. Is there any questions about that project?
Didn't we have some stuff to work out with, because the township owns half of that road, right?
Yeah, the township does own part of the road, so we'd have to be in communication with them. Something else, I think that Dakota Street that joins in with 67th there is nothing but a soft, rutted up mess, just with all the water standing there. I think whenever we do 67th, I think we need to come to the north down Dakota and fix that section as well, because otherwise you're gonna have a brand new section, rutted up asphalt, and then a decent section.
Yeah.
So all that needs to be replaced, so it's nice asphalt when we're done.
Yeah, and you're in essence gonna make a catch basin then that all your water that's already sitting there is just gonna be feeding into that ground and not want to go over the concrete. So that's another reason why my last point there, I really think those 2 would pair well together if you guys do proceed with 2 of them. Would you like me to move on to talk about another project, the other 2 projects here, or would you guys like to further discuss this one?
We can come back to it, yeah?
Yeah.
It's all one agenda item.
So next was signal road rehabilitation. Again, it's kind of the same scope, survey, soil investigation, design, all the way through the bid process. This one's for asphalt paving between Highway 40 and Iverson Avenue. It's going to make sure that curb and gutter is installed all the way along the roadway to improve drainage and keep it off the walking path. It's my kind of by the eye test seemed like that there's probably a drainage issue when snow melts of it going over that walking path, because the walking path seemed lower than the roadway there. Just kind of walking on Google Earth when it was still snowy, so I couldn't quite see it yet.
Well, it's a pond just northeast of the water tower. It's underwater.
Yeah, so I think curb and gutter section will help that a lot, and you guys can kind of have half the road as curb and gutter depending on the north or the south. So just finishing that kind of process and making sure you have somewhere for the water to go the whole way down will make a world of difference. We'll also have to develop a traffic control plan there to allow access to all the amenities during the project. That's a busy area. I mean, it doesn't take you can look at a map and see that. It doesn't take anyone to even be here to see that. And we need to make sure that all those amenities are accessible the whole time. So I expect traffic control to be a bigger part of this project than a typical project, just because you got to make sure the hospital has access, the grocery store has access, as well as everything else in that area. What again, we're not planning for here is lighting improvements along the roadway or any water and sewer improvements. Now, the estimated construction cost of this was $2,329,500, which again is including a 25% contingency, just based off the fact of we haven't gone to the weeds and gone into the specific bid items as much. We're kind of giving a 10,000-foot view at this point. Our preliminary engineering services for this are estimated are a do not to exceed amount of $233,308 is what we proposed here. Is there any questions about this one?
What, since this route is pretty heavily traveled with truck traffic, what would be the thickness of asphalt?
So part of that soil investigation is we're gonna hire a subcontractor to come in and do soil investigation testing that will do a full analysis and give us a report to tell us exactly what the ideal thickness is for the typical section. It's basically a real cheap insurance method. It's cost probably about $15,000 and you save yourself a whole lot of heartache, because if you have the wrong typical section there, you're gonna pay a hell of a lot more. So we always kind of suggest and propose that in our design proposals, just because it's real cheap insurance in essence. So we'll know for sure what it is once they get back to us. I estimated for my estimate, I believe, a 4.5 on 12. I'm not looking at the estimate directly, so I'd have to look back, but I believe there's a note there at the bottom that says exactly what it is. We've had a lot of success with that in other towns around this area, and holding up pretty well, but there have been times where we've had to go a little thicker too. We also, whenever we design these plans, include discretionary subcut quantity. In essence, we'll have someone out there for the construction process, be the construction contract. So everything, these scope services cover everything but the construction contract. But what they'll do is in essence a proof roll test, and when they have peeled off all the base, they'll check the actual ground, watch them roll over with a blade or a filled up water truck, something heavy that doesn't distribute the weight great. Check to see how the ground maneuvers, and anywhere where the ground is flexing will be marked, and they'll have to cut it out and then fill it up even thicker. So at times we've created an even thicker bridge of about 2 feet of aggregate base to kind of bridge those soft spots. Any other questions?
Spot down by the water tower. It's gonna be thick because it is a lot of water. I know we've fought with the city guys. We've been trying to make phone calls to try to get the drainage to drain over to Main Street and Signal Road there. I don't think we've had any luck yet, but there's getting to be so much silt in there, the water, it doesn't drain, it just dikes up over that way, so it's soggy.
Gotcha.
And we constantly fight that area.
So the other option we could look at for something like that is you could put in perforated pipes in essence to try and get it out of there. So in essence, right underneath your curb line, you put a pipe out a few inches below what the curb is. And it's perforated throughout, and you burrito wrap it with kind of flowable fill and a drainage fabric to make sure that you're not getting any sediment through there. It's going to clog it up, and that'll help get the water out of the underneath the roadway, and you just got to find somewhere for it to out. That's another, whenever you have a real bad spot, that's a more economical solution. Sometimes also you could use concrete stabilized soil, cement stabilized soil, but it's a real expensive solution for something that you can generally engineer out by good typicals and some drain tile if you need.
It appears like that could use a little elevation increase right there, about 2 feet.
That's difficult because then the whole rest of the road's gotta be elevated.
But that is those kinds of things we'll look at once we have the survey and we have the full data. We'll kind of build a vertical alignment that causes the least, regrading that needs to be done while still creating the most benefit. It's always kind of a balance of finding where we're not regrading everything and regrading into people's yards, but at the same time, creating a benefit to the community and fixing what we can. So if there's no other questions on this one, I'll jump to the last one and then I'll let you guys kind of decide what you guys want to do. The last one, as I said, is Dakota Street, and this one's a little different because it's again, soil survey, design, bidding of asphalt paving between 67th Street and First Street southwest, but it's a full urban section. That means pavement, curb and gutter throughout the whole roadway. It also will install water and sewer mains down the street and stub out the service to those western lots that are undeveloped. In essence, clean outs and curb stops right at the edge of where the city parameters are for those. So that way people could later come in and tie in without having to disturb the road. There'll be improved sidewalk access panels and driveway aprons. That's not down the entire way, but in essence where the missing ADA ramps are on that street. I had included costs for those to go in if the city wanted them, as well as if you have to change the grade of the road. We always kind of update the driveway apron as well as the first sidewalk panels on each side of it. So that way everything ties in nicely to whatever that new grade has to be. There is funding coordination planned in this and the application for the DWR funds, which is 60% cost share on water, preliminary engineering, construction engineering. That 60% would be $29,172.75. Unfortunately, on April 8th, the municipal bucket of the DWR ran out of funds until June. So unless they kind of move their money around in their budgets, there's no kind of further funding on those until June. Which means preliminary engineering likely would not see funds. It could still be valuable to apply because they are not rejecting projects, they're deferring them while they wait for funds is how it's kind of stated right now. So I'm sure if funds do become available, it's gonna be a first in, first out kind of list. So I've still been advising people to apply on the hopes that they rearrange their buckets, or if somehow money is found for them, or if they decide to, there's, I think, 8 different buckets that they control. So if they decide to reorganize how they're budgeting those, unlikely, but then there's a chance that there's funds that become available. And those are grant funds, not loans. We do not plan for full sidewalk installation here. We didn't include aid for SRF funding and applying for it, which is a loan at a 2% interest, 2.5% interest that the state provides for water and sewer projects. If the state chooses to pursue that kind of funding, we can aid in creating a preliminary engineering report and that funding, but we would have to draft another agreement to do so. The PAR grant pays for 80% of that preliminary engineering report for $15,000 for water, $15,000 for sewer. So in essence, you can get $30,000 of grant money for a preliminary engineering report on those. If the commission wants to proceed those 2 task orders, as I said, I would kind of pair 67th Street with this. So the total construction costs on this one, we're anticipating $1,931,000 $1,931,050, excuse me. This is with a 20% contingency because this one's a little more detailed with water services kind of detailed already and lines and sewer. There's a bit more than 10,000 feet, but not quite. So I kind of knocked down that contingency down by 5%, just in a sense of reality. For the preliminary engineering for this, we anticipate we give a not to exceed amount of $185,640. Any questions on this one?
Go ahead. I was just gonna ask you, I know on Google Maps, it's kind of misleading, but so right next to the railroad tracks is actually Front Street, and then it's First Street, and then it's Second Street. So I know it says First Street in here. I would make sure that we actually go up to Front Street. Because there's that half a street that's misleading on Google Maps. I'd just make sure we go up to Front Street with this if we would do this project to go up to Front.
Yeah, I believe we went all the way up in our actual numbers. I think I just called out the name as that based off what you said, like you said on Google Maps there, but we can update this, so that way it's all clear before anything's signed. Is there any other questions? So then I guess my next question would be kind of what is the commission's kind of feelings on these projects and their priority levels, and is this something that the commission kind of has appetite for?
Well, I like all three of them. I would say priority wise, I would say Signal Road is a huge one. I think Dakota Street is a huge one. The 67th is a big want from the community, but the issue with that is, the side that everybody kind of wants paved is not really the side that we own. So that's kind of, why I would put it maybe last priority, unless, I just feel like we need to know more on it, like what if the township was willing to engage with it at all. And, I mean, I think it'd be worth reaching out to some of the companies that are along there too and see if they had any kind of vested interest in it, because reason being is like, we talked about doing concrete. That's the most expensive option. There is a ton of truck traffic that goes out through there, so it would probably be in their best interest as well. And then rock resources right there. So that's an issue too. Like, I'm sure we could probably get some sort of deal on the material going through them, and it's right there. So that would be, but those things probably need to get found out, I think, before we took that one too seriously.
What I will tell you is that you can't, unfortunately, with a project this size, kind of just make a deal with them for the material just because it has to go through the formal bid process. What you will likely get is a really good bid price from them
Yeah.
because they're not gonna have any trucking fees, and so it
Yeah,
You can't
and that's
directly-
kind of what I meant, I guess. I mean, obviously, like, it would be, cause it goes through that formal process. But yeah, I mean, it's right there, so we'd save a fortune compared to, if it was coming out of whatever, Wilson.
yeah, somewhere.
You think? You got something on your mind, I know it.
Oh. I think we should consider this a little more. Personally, I haven't kicked it around enough. Not hearing what really jives with me. So, but I'm not an engineer either. If you step in it and it goes squish, it's probably not high enough.
I think regarding the Dakota Street, I think we have to probably talk things through regarding Cobert's property front there. I think would be another area we have to discuss. And I know it's kind of a loaded question, but because we talked about wanting more properties to purchase within the town. And it's been kicked down the road. That can's been kicked many times and it's dented to nothing now. But I think we need to discuss if we are gonna do South Dakota Street, what we wanna do with that section. The other areas are pretty cut and dry. But that section between Cobert's property, I think would have to be discussed very in-depthly as far as what the city stance is, going forward. Signal Road, I think Signal Road is probably a pretty fair one to be high on the list, because it is very heavily traveled. My only concern is just that the asphalt is thick enough, so it doesn't break up. 67th, I do have to agree with Jaden that I think we probably need to do a little bit more talking to the companies on that section, as well as talking to the township and figuring out their stance on it, and if they can assist with some of the finances on that and go from there.
On Signal Road, where it's soft, and you're worried about the asphalt breaking up. Why can't you concrete that much, that part of it?
You could, and if that's something the commission has interest in, we
I mean,
could.
if you start raising it and the water flow goes a different direction, you start flooding other people's property, that's illegal.
Yeah.
You can't raise and lower the direction of the water flow, you can't disturb
No, you can't
water
do that.
flow.
That's
Correct.
part of also why we want to put curb and gutter through, so it's all actually getting to where it needs and was supposed to go.
Correct, but with that area being real soft,
Unfortunately, concrete lasts twice as long and asphalt costs twice as much, but the problem is it doesn't matter if the underground is soft, concrete's gonna go to hell just like asphalt will.
right,
So you can put concrete in the soil to stabilize it, and that's an option that we could look at if the commission would like, especially if the soil report comes back and says, hey, this is so gnarly here, this is something you really wanna look at.
well, the way it sounds, it's built on a sluice, so it's gonna be gnarly then.
Yeah, and so similar things that we just kind of worked on the last couple of years was over in Stanley, that project over by the post office. I'm not sure if you saw that, but the subway and all that. But that was all a swamp before. It was a swamp, then it was an airport, then it was a rodeo ground, and they built the roads and they backfilled it with sand. Literally found veins of sand going through it as we did it. It was absolute mess, and so we put in that drain tile throughout the whole thing and repaved it. And it's holding up real nice now, and you can actually see the manhole the drain tile is pouring into. Just from the point where we had 60% of the area connected, that manhole had 2 feet of water in it. Because it was getting all that water out.
And with your perforated pipe, that would put it in the sewer system.
You could either put it into a manhole or you could discharge into a culvert where it's supposed to go. In essence, you're just taking that groundwater and putting it where it's supposed to get to in the first place and where it's designed to get to.
You gotta go below frost line on that, or you're talking 2 feet.
No, you don't even have to go that far. It's just right below the curb line. So you're just trying to get the groundwater out, basically as things are thawing out, making sure that that's not turning your underground into mush.
So you're not letting it get to the road when it thaws, you're taking it
Before it gets there. And it's kind of a less aggressive version of stabilized soil. So stabilized soil is kind of going straight to the nuclear option. And so it's definitely always an option, but it's always the most expensive option. And it is the most extreme option. And so I just kind of like to be able to discuss the in-betweens before we get all the way there and we're writing the big check.
Right. No, I understand. I just wanted to make it.
Yep.
So I can understand it. And I do understand it now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephen, do you have any questions?
Not really. I feel like it's all been covered very well.
I don't know, Bob, Jaden, maybe you remember, I don't remember Signal Road ever breaking up the way it has the last decade. You jog your memory, do you remember it falling apart consistently and often like it has?
No, it was always gravel up until recently.
Right, but it was never
No,
depressions and soft spots and,
until we get that water line on the north side of the road. Goes from the old tower to the new one. That could have something to do with it, because there was never nothing there before, no big holes.
The slough just north of the water tower is not draining like it was 8 years ago. It's holding water. Something's going wrong with that slough further to the north. Not allowing it to flow to that lower slough to the east. That water's just sitting there.
Yeah. Just saturating everything.
Yeah.
All the time.
Cause by the water tower there on the south side of the water tower, that used to never just sit with water, but it has water in it constantly now.
Right.
So, and that has a culvert that goes to the north, and that sluice should flow out to the east. But
And that's where I've been talking with Kirk and Jason, trying to get that area with the silt dug out so that would drain like it should. And we've just been spinning our wheels and not making any forward progress. This is a second, coming on third year. We've been trying to get that work done. And it's been a struggle.
Get that water to drain the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, 'cause that-
Line up, so you
That little
have-
witch's hat is over right as you're coming down the hill from Main Street there by the hospital. It's right there on the west side of the street, right there in the corner. It's this little yellow witch's hat that's where the water should be draining in, and it's not.
You guys have any other questions? Obviously, it doesn't sound like anybody's ready to make a decision on anything tonight. And everybody knows we do not like spending money around here, but we do have a bit of it, and we gotta look at doing some projects, because the community deserves improvements, right? You can only save so much. To Kyle's point, we have no idea what is going on to the west side of Dakota Street yet. As far as I know, there's just one plat right now. We don't even know if there's a plan to segregate them out. So as far as curb stops and all that, that is so up in the air right now. But I do know that there's a whole bunch of really nice houses on the east side of that street, and they've been living with half a street for forever. They deserve to have a nice street. Like it's a shame to be able to drive through town and see a road that's only half paved and the rest is just, So I would think, in my mind, that would be priority one. Signal Road, that's just always a frustration. Kyle, how much money did we put into that last year just repairing it?
Like $55,000.
And it's still just,
It's like it didn't even do anything.
we're right. And that's kind of, it's the same thing with 67th, right? You guys put all that time and effort and money into grading it, blading it, making it nice. If you've driven on it lately, it's just plowed up. It's no fun, so we do definitely need to look at ripping Band-Aids off and putting some stitches in. This doesn't feel like it's happening tonight, and that's okay too. If you're here, I appreciate all this stuff.
100%. So the one thing I will say that I meant to mention earlier too is that right now I have in there the bid date would be like December. I think last month when I kind of sent it to you guys was November, and now it'd probably be, if we push to May, it'd probably be after the holidays in kind of January. And while I'm not saying we won't get done before that, it's just kind of, those are the worst case scenarios in essence, and that still puts us at a really good bid window. That's kind of, up till February is really where you want to be to get the best prices, but just keep that in mind.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
I appreciate all the information. Like I said, we'll definitely have to talk it over and figure out what route we want to go and talk to some community members and just go from there. But no, I appreciate all the information and the pricing and go from there. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, we're at city cleanup week. Kyle, do you want me to run through these?
Sure.
All right, so our calendar of events for May, Saturday, the 9th is the Tioga Citywide Rummage Sale. Saturday through Saturday, the 9th through the 16th, that's our citywide cleanup week. So what that means for everybody listening online, free dump days on the 9th, 12th, 14th, and 16th. Wednesday, the 13th, that's the City of Tioga Shred Day. Chamley will be out with their shred truck. That's free to all City of Tioga residents. And then our summer 2026 city landfill summer hours, those are Tuesday from 9 to 6, Thursday from 10 to 7, Saturday from 9 to noon. And that will begin Saturday, May 2nd. All sound correct?
Yeah, the only thing I just wanted to add is regarding the citywide cleanup free dump days, we still are restricted by only taking certain items. We can't take hazardous materials and things like that. So it still follows under the normal landfill items we can take. Thanks.
Yeah, that moves right into new business number 7, the summer dump hours.
Where's the shred truck gonna be located? Do we have a spot yet?
At the city hall parking lot.
Okay.
That's what it says. I'm just going off the sheet.
It's gonna be here, but
You'll have to guess where.
yeah, yes. Just drive it on.
Right.
Follow the traffic. Thank you.
All right, again, summer dump hours, that's beginning Saturday, May 2nd, on Tuesday from 9 to 6, Thursday from 10 to 7, and Saturdays from 9 to noon. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda.
I think we need to approve for the free dumping. Then change the dump hour.
Get that, guys? Let's start over.
I will make a motion to approve the cleanup dump days, the 9th, 12th, 14th, and 16th.
I'll second.
All right, we got a motion, a second to approve the free dump days on the 9th, 12th, 14th, and 16th. Correct? I don't know if that was. All right, let's vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, motion carries, and then we'll need, you know what to do, Kyle.
I'll make a motion to approve the summer landfill hours as posted.
I'll second.
All right, we got a motion and a second to approve the summer landfill hours as posted. Let's vote.
Yes.
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 And yes, motion carries. All right, let's move on to the consent agenda. We got bills, payroll, the March financials, visitor promotion fund for street banners, and visitor promotion for the Tioga Historical Society. You guys have had all chance to look at everything on the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion on that? All right, let's vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, motion carries. We are on to public comment. Does anybody have anything? Yes, sir. Come on. We fixed the mic. I know, but we're so proud of fixing it and breaking the speakers apparently.
Softball field, what is the prospective date it's gonna start? And what's the prospective date that's gonna be finished?
Well, soon and not soon enough.
About 3 or 4 weeks of your sod then, sure.
You got the May 27th. So, this, am I looking at the baseball? I don't see where the.
That's April.
I don't know what.
They'll be moving in the week of the 20th of April 27th.
Okay. Thank you. That's what I wanted to know.
Gotta go
I
fast.
gotta support those kids.
Hmm.
Okay, that's it. Just got anything for me?
All right, thanks for being here.
Always.
Yeah, it was a little bit depressing when there was only 3 people in here a few minutes before the meeting started. We thought, oh boy, everybody's enjoying summer.
Some, I had to work.
Okay. Anyone else? Josh, got anything? Darcy?
Yeah.
All right. How about anybody on the Teams call? Easy.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, we got a motion, a second to adjourn. Vote.
Yes.
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 And yes, motion carries and we are adjourned at 8:24 PM.
Thanks, guys.